Welcome to CodeChangers. This is a quick tutorial on how to get a little bit more familiar with CodeChangers as a teacher, to know and understand how the students interact with the software and how the curriculum is delivered to all the students. So what I've done just now is I have logged into CodeChangers. For you guys that are new to the system, if you just go to CodeChangers.com and click on this green login button here on the top right, that's actually how you're going to log into the software. Initially, for the teachers and administrators, we will create your logins, but through this tutorial we'll show you how to utilize the software and create student accounts. When I log in, I'm welcomed by the home screen, which shows a lot of different types of curriculum. Our curriculum is broken into two different forms. We have our core curriculum under the classes tab here on the left, and that's what you as a teacher are going to teach to your students. That's the curriculum you're going to go through over the course of a semester or a year or whatever course you're teaching. But there's also room for other curriculum that students can do at home so that they can continue to practice. And that's what some of these are showing, and that's your actual quests here on the left, your side quests. And those allow the students to continue to work on curriculum when they're at home or outside of class. And we have that so that students don't burn through curriculum that you're trying to teach to them, and then after 4 weeks or a month, 2 months, they come to you and say, we've done the whole course. And so we're going to go ahead and jump into this view first, the classes view. And I am, as a student right now, this is what I would see. With this specific demo account, I have 3 of our courses linked in here. Usually most of your students will just see one of these classes at a time. But if I was a student and I wanted to work through it, I would either hit start or resume here on the bottom. And you can see that the curriculum is broken out into different lessons. Throughout the curriculum, you can earn different badges by completing different projects. And I'll go back to the start here. You can see that me as a student, I've completed lesson 1, 2, 3, and I'm 78.57% done with lesson 4. So there's that live view. But if I was just coming to this first time, I've never seen the curriculum before, I click on this first lesson, HTML, and I click on this first step here. And all of our lessons follow the slogan of what, why, learn, apply. So kind of what are you going to be doing, why is this relevant, and then the learn and apply is delivered through the curriculum. And so if I go down here to the bottom right on the up next, it'll allow me to progress through. And this is really the core of how the curriculum's set up for the students. They can learn through this lesson plan here on the left. If there's pictures, they can pull them up and view them to understand the content a little better. And then lastly, there's the apply, the create your code. And it asks you, what to do based on the curriculum that they learned on this step. So this one's the introduction to HTML. And we're just learning some of the basic syntax, the way that the code's going to look for the students. And basically, as a student, I'm going to type in here in the middle. I can hit run, and that'll preview it over here on the right. And then I can hit submit, and it'll grade the code. It'll look at it and see if there's errors. And you can see that mine is what it was asking for. Looks great. So I can hit OK, which now unlocks the next step to go next. Our curriculum is set up in a way to where students cannot progress until they've successfully completed the step that they're on. But one thing that's super cool too is if I did make a mistake and I hit submit, then it'll show the error. This one's specifically saying the tag must be paired. I'm missing this. And what's really cool about it is it shows the line, which helps you as a teacher a lot. So I can see on line 1, I'm missing this. I'm starting to compare. We can see that this is what I need, but let's just say we weren't sure, we still weren't sure. We can hit this show hint, and it'll show what our code's supposed to look like. This is something that cannot be copied and pasted, and later on it's actually not going to have a hint, but at the very start where we're learning some of the syntax and some of the way that the language works, it's going to be set up like this. We put this in, hit submit, it says good job, and then we can move on to the next step. And that's how all of our curriculum is really set up when it comes to a lot of the programming and coding. Our computer literacy course is a little bit less interactive because it's a lot of information regarding internet safety and computers, where this is a more interactive course with students having to put in code and see the results of their code and make sure that their syntax is correct. As students work through the curriculum, they can earn different badges. And some of our badges are related to finishing projects that are side quests, finishing courses that are part of the curriculum. If you go to the profile page as a student, you can see that we also keep track of the times that students log in. So students can earn badges based on streaks if they code 7 days straight or 14 days straight. You can see here on this demo account that this month of August that we're looking at, there's just 2 days where the students logged in. And some of this feedback is feedback that you can get on the teacher side. The other thing is you can earn points as you unlock badges and complete curriculum. You can see my points here on the top right. Those points will also let you unlock new avatars and can be a cool way for the students to get recognition and to be motivated to complete more curriculum. Also, all of the curriculum that they work through, we save those files into a cloud storage that they can access from anywhere. So as they finish a project in the curriculum, it'll save it in here, and they can have that actual code to use as like an e-portfolio. Students can also create their own projects through the editor. And so if I were to go in the editor, I can create different web-based projects in HTML and CSS, and I can save them back into that cloud storage, which is pretty cool. It allows for no software to be downloaded at home or at school, and the same experience to happen for the students. And one of my favorite features of the whole software is the ability to hit this set live button. And so if you look at all these projects that I've been working on, you can see in here that I've made this social media page and I've hit set live. What that means is it gives students the ability to post their content onto their own live space that's on the internet. It's hosted on the internet. And this is an actual project from one of our 5th grade students. And you can see that they made this website about Thor, and they're able to view that and see that on the internet. And the coolest thing about that is students go from saying, I don't know if I can do this, to, oh, this is awesome. And then once it's on the internet, it turns into, I'm a full-blown web developer. And so that's definitely one of the coolest things that we at CodeChangers love to see the students interact with. And really the last thing from the student experience is the library. And what this provides is an ability for students to access images and fonts and colors, and also be able to look up terms related to web development, all within the safe environment of CodeChangers. And they're not able to, go around the internet searching for different things, and they're still able to have success within building their projects. So that's really a really brief overview of the student portal. The biggest part being that students need to be in the classes and going through these step by step as an instructor. We do have some pretty cool oversight for the instructors, and so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll log into one of my demo accounts. So now you're looking at a teacher view. You can see if I go to my classes here that I have the different groups that I have set up. The other view looks pretty similar to the student view. You do have your own My Files and editor and library, access to the quests, so you can see what projects the students are working on. But there's a couple new areas that are unique to the teacher side of the login, and that's my classes, my groups, and students. And so the first thing that I would do as a teacher, if I was logging in for the first time, is I would go to my groups and I would create a new group up here. I would call that group, class number 1, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, however you want to name that to know which section that is. You might even have a section 1. Whatever naming conventions your school uses, you can put that in there. Within here, you can pick from the different courses. Kind of the order that you go through is Web Development 1, Web Development 2, Python 1, and actually you could start with computer literacy as well. So let's just say I click Web Development 1. I'll just put in a brief description. This can be anything really. It's actually not required. Some of these fields may or may not be relevant to your school. We use this for our after-school programs as well. So sometimes we need the age requirements. But usually for school, I just put 1 and 100. I put a class time. I choose a location, so I will choose that. You will just probably have one location, but if it's a district that has multiple locations, that's where that becomes relevant. And then you can limit it to a number of students, and I can create the group. Well, what happens when I've created a group is that now I've created, and under my classes right here, it's going to show that group that I just created. And so now I have an existing class or a group that's connected to a class, and I can start to look at the curriculum and view what the schools are learning. So if I go in here, you can see that there's locks on every single lesson. This is an important step and one that most teachers forget to look at. The reason it's locked is all of our curriculum starts off locked, and you as a teacher can control what's unlocked for the students to see. And I'm doing that just by clicking this red button, turning it to green, and unlocking it. That makes it so that that first conversation we had at the start of students being able to progress through the curriculum too quick, you can unlock each lesson for the day or parts of the lesson as you're teaching, which means that when students get to that point, they can't progress further in the curriculum. A lot of our teachers really utilize this feature, and they like that. And so you can unlock that. You will possibly have a time where you're like, the curriculum's not working, students can't progress, what's going on? Almost 100% of the time, it's because you as a teacher just needs to come in here and unlock these for the students to be able to see. Now you'll see when I go to my classes and I view the same course, this is now a little bit more active looking, and then these are still locked, which helps you understand kind of where you're at and what's been unlocked and available. Now that you have a group and you can see that group, you'll see here that there's, if I go to my groups, I can go to students, and there's no students. I can go to the grade book, but that's, again, not going to be too helpful as well. So the next step that I would do is one of two things. I would either add each student one by one, or I would add all students in with a CSV. So if I wanted to add students, I can just go here. I can create a new student. And the reason that these students are showing up, by the way, because it looks like I don't have any groups, is because the school that I'm linked to has a bunch of different groups that have students. So if other teachers are using the software within your school, those students are going to be in here because they're part of your program, but they're not necessarily yours. And so if there is a student that's been in CodeChangers before with a past semester or something, those are going to show up here, and you can just you can click on enrolls, and then you can add them to one of the groups. So you can see I made this group class 1 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I guess, section 1. And so if I go back and I want to create a new student, then I just click on this blue button up here, and I can input that student's name. I can put in a username. The email is actually optional. If you do not put an email in, the password is just 12345678. If you do put in an email, it will send them an automated email with their randomly generated password. And then also phone number is almost never used, but is there in case that is needed.
So I can create that user, and now that user exists. You can see that they're automatically in that group. If I go back to the Students tab, you'll see that I can see that student. I can look at their files. I can see what they're enrolled in. A lot of times as a teacher, you'll have students that forget a password and maybe they're not linked to an email, or they need you to refresh that. If that's ever the case, you're just going to go to your Students tab, and when you find the student, either by searching or just seeing them on the list, you're going to hit Edit, and then you're going to hit Change Password, and then in there you can type a new password, and then now that password is updated for that user. That's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to be able to create a new student, but I can understand as a teacher that could be pretty overwhelming when you're adding for the first year or first part of the year, 100 students or 30 students or 40 students. And so the way around that is if you click on My Groups, you'll be able to see the different groups you have. If you hit Edit, it'll have this blue button on the bottom that says Import Students via CSV. If you click that and you upload a file, it'll actually upload all of the students' information. But what's very important on the Import Students via CSV is that it follows a specific format on the header rows. So you can see here that I have these header rows, and they need to be these exact names. So first underscore name, I'm going to put a student in here, last underscore name, username, password, and then email, which can be optional or not. And so I'm just gonna create 2 students, and I'm just making random passwords with this one. I'm gonna do this. So now that I have all my names, first name, last name, username, password, and email, which is optional, it could be left blank, I'm gonna get that CSV file, and then you'll see that on the CodeChangers, I can either just drag and drop it, or I can browse and find it. So I'm going to browse and get that CSV file, and I'm going to hit import. And then you're going to want to leave it on this page until all the students are imported, but you'll see here that if I get a green check mark, that means those students have been successfully updated into the system. If it does have an error, these will turn red with an X, and it'll give you the error. Maybe there's a duplicate username that's been taken, or something like that. That's usually what we run into, is usernames are taken already or something like that. But that then allows you to have all of those students added in one step. Again, that's just going to My Groups. On Edit, you hit the group, and then import students via CSV. Your main way to communicate with us at CodeChangers is either to email us, or we have a pretty cool feature that is utilized a little bit more than email. This is something that's available to all the students and the teachers, and that's this bubble here on the bottom right. If I click on that, I can start a new conversation with someone from CodeChangers, and I can ask questions like, hey, I'm trying to import students and I'm confused, can you help me out? Or I'm not seeing the student, or whatever questions you have, even questions like, I don't know for sure how to teach this, can you help me out with this? You can message us, and this will come directly to our emails and to our phones, and one of our team members can get back to you on how to do that. It says up here, we have a fast average response time, but don't expect an instant reply. Replies may take up to 24 hours. You can use this messenger as an alternative to email, and that's kind of our policy. We do have a pretty responsive rate, especially during business hours, but we do treat this just like an email, a secure way to be able to communicate back and forth.
And on the student side, this is really crucial because we don't get the students' email information or any of their personal information. We're just able to communicate and help them. We have students that can get frustrated because their code's not working, and really it's just one symbol that's wrong or one symbol that's not working right. And so they're able to correct that symbol and message us, and we can say, hey, this is what's going on with your code. At CodeChangers, we're able to see their submission. So if they hit submit, we can see that submission. You as a teacher is able to see that as well. Um, and so that's a super cool feature. The last thing I'll show you is under my groups, you're going to be able to also have a grade book. Right now, you can see that this grade book doesn't have a lot of valuable information because these 3 students that I added today, they haven't done anything. But if it's red, it means that they have not completed it. If it's green, it's completed. And if it's still gray like this, it means they have not started it. And so later on, you'll see that this will be green, 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 gray is the step that they're on. And then red will be the ones that they have not completed. With us at CodeChangers, the way the steps are going, it's either you've completed it or you haven't. It's kind of a pass or fail type thing. And that's an important lesson for them to learn, that the code has to be 100% right in order for them to move on. But this will let you be able to see the grades for all of your students, and you can click on the different lessons within there and be able to assess a grade to their work. If you have any questions, feel free to message us on the chat bubble. This will show up on just our website, CodeChangers.com, or through your login. It'll also be in the app, learn.codechangers.com. Again, you can access that by going to CodeChangers.com and clicking on the green login button on the top right. And if you have any problems, you can also email me personally, Jason at CodeChangers.com. That's JASON at CodeChangers.com.